So, and yeah, make sure you hit the like button. Feel free to look through my playlist for previous contents. This is Say Like It Is, where we talk about eclectic topics, okay? Topics that affect us within the Black community, all right? Fantastic. So let's see who is online. Let's see who is online. What's going on, guys? Yeah, sorry about the disruption. We are back. That's right. What's up, JR? What's going on, man? Yeah, there was just a little glitch. A little glitch from a twat. So we move. Yeah, that's right. Let's get the show started. Atilo Atide, we're back. We're back. We're back. Sorry about the disruption. Right. So let me start over again. Okay. If you're watching me, you can. Where's your glasses? My glasses is on the table here. If you're watching me, you can hear me, you can see me. Let me say again very quickly because I deleted, the previous one. So if you've sent me divinations, Ifa divinations, just bear with me. Okay, I'm dealing with these things in batches. Okay, hopefully by the end of the week you hear from me. All right. So Ifa divination is basically to do with the practice of Ifa, which the Ifa system itself enables you to divine and look into whatever pressing questions that have to do with your personal life. And it could be anything to do with your life, your relationship compatibility checks, your business, your goals in life, anything. Ifa will uncover for you, okay? So if you're interested in that, actually, you can send me an email to footchannel1960@gmail.com. Look in the description below. If you've already sent, me stuff, just bear with me, all right? So let's crack on with the show. So this story was sent to me by these gentlemen who is currently dealing with this truckload of mess. And I said, okay, fine, cool. This is an interesting one. Let's talk about it. So like I was saying before we cut off, these gentlemen met with his wife years ago back in Nigeria, right? So they were dating each other and all that. They met at university and then they were dating each other. Eventually they got married. They got two wonderful children. And the guy used to work in the financial sector, one of the popular high street banks. She worked in a different sector and all that. Now, it got to a point, like a lot of people, the conversation came up, the very popular conversation about relocating abroad and all that stuff. The initial plan was wife, husband, and two children will relocate to the US. But based on affordability and the cost involved and all that, so they reached a conclusion that this gentleman, being the husband, head of the home, should go first. And it's the case with a lot of men who would go first abroad to hopefully find their feet and then be able to go back to fetch, the wife and children. People do that a lot. And also vice versa. There's been cases where the woman might be the one that goes first and then she files for her partner and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, he went ahead to the States. And of course, he evidently went on a totally different, visa, right? And got to America. Like plenty of other people, he was faced with, complexities and immigration challenges and all that. It soon became clear, like it is for so many people that travel blindly. People just say, in God's name, everything's going to be all right. Then they get to these countries, they have a structured system, particularly around immigration. They soon find out that, oh, snap. And then when you embed yourself into the system, you realize that it's not easy to make money. So he had it really rough, to cut the chase. And he was staying with, he said, a friend of a friend that he knew from Nigeria. So the guy, let me use the word reluctantly, accommodated him. That one has a house, he's got a family. So they've got these little loft room in the loft at the top of the building that they sort of kept him, but they gave him a time frame. Said, we'll give you, you know, 2 3 months max to stay with us, and then you're gonna have to just move on from there. So I normally say, if somebody takes you in for like 2 3 months in the diaspora, you should thank them, because for the most part, most people make about enough to cater for themselves, wife, and perhaps the number of children they've got, and it's so depending on what they earn, their capability to then take on another adult, or in fact with children and stuff, is a major task to feed you on a daily basis. You're enjoying the same gas and electric and all that. You get the gist, right? So anyways, dude carried on and he stayed there for a maximum of 4 months, and it got to a point, these friend of a friend said he has to move on, because particularly he said there was growing pressure from the man's wife. Just wanted him to, they wanted their privacy back to how they used to be, like a family, understandably so. So he was forced out, but thankfully during the course of the 4 months, whilst he was living in the US, he had joined like a local Baptist church, and then the church was able to put him somewhere like a shelter type of place that there were, it was like a room with bunk beds that he had to share with like 4 other men, but bunk beds and stuff. It's like a prison cell type of setting, but he had no choice. He would go to work. He said he started working in the car wash, and then he was doing the odd jobs and stuff. Anyways, he would do whatever he could to survive, and he would send money home. Bear in mind, he has a wife and 2 children back home. And he said as life was carrying on in the States, he spoke to his wife virtually every day. They would do video calls. She can see what's going on, how tough he had it. He had no papers. He was living in the shadow of the system. He said they would speak virtually every day. And I mean virtually every day. Now, he had about 3, bottoming of the spectrum type of jobs that he had to do to survive. He was sending money home. He would give the wife, on a monthly basis. And there's that responsibility, because you're the man, you have a family. Unfortunately, however rough, you've still got to fork money out to cater for the wife and children, particularly the children, education, feeding, and things like that. So he was managing, he was doing all that. Now, as so as time went on, he said he lived in that shelter for like 18 to 19 months. So the administration of the church, the Baptist church, there was like a restructuring within the board of that church. And unfortunately, when they completed the restructuring, he had to, the new set of leaders basically said, they couldn't carry on funding that sort of like a hostel type thing that the church was paying for, that they wanted to shut the whole thing down because of fundings and all that. So long story short, he lived there for like roughly 2 years, and then he had to then move on, and moved in with a bunch of new, I think new dudes. Years went by, and this is a story of so many immigrants that live in the West. Plenty of immigrants, plenty, uncountable. And particularly when people start off on a shaky ground. What do I mean? With immigration complexity. Does that make sense? So he said, as the years went by, he carried on hustling, striving. There's no way to go back, because like many people, many immigrants, he'll be hoping to get his papers. And that, as you know, particularly for diasporans, that will take years. But a lot of people will say, yeah, I will keep my head down and keep grinding. I will see what options are available. And this is how plenty of people remain in the shadow of the system. So this young man, he said to me, he said, Phrankleen, sometimes over time, when he was able to save money, there was a guy, he said he met an Igbo man, Igbo Kweno. He met an Igbo man, a Nigerian man, for those that don't know what I mean by an Igbo man, who showed him the ins and outs of like cargo business, like, you know, shipping things back home and all that, and how to sell things and recycle his money. So he got to befriend this Igbo man through another friend and stuff, and they became close. So he said the man showed him, said, dude, whilst you're struggling and all that, you've managed to save X amount of thousands of dollars, which is good. You know, you can do this, you can be doing this. Since you got your wife back home, the guy asked him, do you trust your wife? And he was like, "Ah, yeah, sure, you know, okay. You know, buy this. You can do group page where you split, you take ownership of a portion, not the entirety of a container. Now it could be a 20-foot container or 40-foot container. You do group page, you share the container space with other people, load up the container, get your wife to clear the goods, sell, you know, take the profit, recycle the money, you know, start the process all over again. So plenty of people do this, provided you know what you're doing and you have a reliable person on the other end of the process, which will be back home. So he said the man pretty much gave him a template of how to print money, right? Get your wife, if you say you trust your wife, get your wife on the other end, right? Tell her to do this. I'll give you contact of who to work with and all that. And your wife can be the base back home. You're getting the goods from here. And as long as you say you can trust her, you make money doing this, shipping these things home, shipping those things home, sharing container spaces. Hopefully, when you make enough money in the near future, um, you can start loading the entirety of a container by yourself. That's a brilliant idea, right? And it's a very common practice within communities in the West. People ship things all the time, cars, belongings, whatever it is that they can turn to money in motherland Africa. Now, cut the chase. This guy said when he sat down to have a think, he had some money saved. He said at the time he had about $9,000 saved, right? He had about $9,200. He wanted to start the business, but then mentally, it was a crossroads. What do I mean? He was thinking, okay, if I get busted because of immigration, you know, grounds, you don't know. Like we're saying Yoruba, oh, mole tole molola. So he was thinking, if I get busted or if I get caught by immigration, US immigration, if something happens someday, so that at least if I return to Africa, I can have a roof over my head. I can have a place that I can call my home. I can call my home and I can stay in with my wife and children, because for all this while, wife has been, they've been living in a rented place. Said, in fact, there was a time when they had issues with a previous landlord that was very aggressive and very mean, kicked them out, maltreated them. They had to go find somewhere else and all that stuff. So he thought, let me carry on with the jobs, my hustling and all that underground. Let me try to commence a building project. At least if I can build a home, like a 4 or 5 bedroom bungalow, I would have that confidence that I have a home in Nigeria, whatever the case may be. Whenever I decide to go home, I have a place I can go to. So if I try to focus on the building project for now, when I complete that, then I can hopefully start. The so-called cargo business that the Igbo man taught him. Right now, who am I to tell another man how to spend their money or make their own decisions about their personal life? But if you look at it on one hand, the man had an idea that let me build a home. And I understand this thought process of plenty of diasporans because it's a brilliant idea. He trusted the wife, right? So instead of starting the shipping, exporting business, he got the wife to buy a parcel of land. So they bought a plot and a half somewhere, and they did that, gave her money. He saw the documents, they did all that stuff. And then he started sending money home for the building project to commence, right? So 20,000, 20,000 off the top of my head, based on the exchange rate, that's about 20,000 US dollars, if I'm correct. Somebody can check for me. Converted to Nigerian naira, 20,000 US, that's about 9 million. I think that's just short of 10 million naira. That's a lot of money. That's a whole lot of money. So he started sending money to the wife. Now, a quick background about the so-called pastor, right? The guy said back when he was in Nigeria years ago, they used to go to that church together as a family, but he wasn't all that close to the pastor. He didn't get really close to the pastor. The pastor at the time was like a deputy pastor, right? So over the years, he had become a full, thank you, about 11.5 million, 10.5 million. So yeah, roughly 11 million naira, right? So he said the pastor had now taken over as the general overseer. So he's always had his reservations, said he wasn't that close, apart from just the usual pleasantries and hello, hello, but it wasn't that close because he didn't like the idea that the pastor was kind of meddling into, people's relationships, wanting to control. He didn't like the idea as a man. So he kept his distance, even though they attended the church. Now, check this out. So as the years went by, like when he was facing his challenges, homelessness and all that stuff, the wife would say, oh, I went to see Pastor. Pastor sent his greetings. So, of course, he's stuck in the US now. And occasionally he'll be forced to ring the pastor. And it's usually a case of, oh, let me pray for you or with you and all that. Don't worry, the Lord will give you your papers in the US, yada, yada, yada. We are supporting you, blah, blah, blah. Don't turn your back on, your wife and kids and whatnot. So he said even it got to a time where his own mom back home would say to him, call the pastor, let the pastor know, and this and this and this and this. Anyway. And then, of course, he said one of the reasons he refrained was because he knew that once you talk to these pastors once, twice, thrice, they expect you to give them money. So he said he would rather give his money to the upkeep of his children and the wife. So he doesn't like the idea of dashing money out to these pastors, understandably so. So he said because the moment you start to talk to them about personal problems and all that, what runs concurrently with that, you got to drop money. So anyways, as time went by, wife was meant to start the building project, right? And then she would say, oh, I went to Pastor such and such and such. I went to discuss the project with him and this and this and this. He said there was this guy that somebody recommended was going to be an engineer that would supervise the building project. So, but he wanted his wife to be on their tail and keep an eye on the progress of things. Now, the wife would, every step, everything they were doing, wife would go to the pastor and tell the pastor, oh, this and this, pastor, my wife, my husband, this project, come and bless the land, come and do this. So the long and short was the pastor was able to penetrate. He had the deep down details of everything happening between her and the husband, even though this was against his wish, right? She would claim that, oh, we need the Lord to guide us and make this a success. He would argue on the phone. So sometimes she'll put the phone down and say he was being unreasonable. Pastor has been supportive of the family over the years. Now, suddenly, when the digging of the foundation was had commenced at the time, he said, Pastor called him abruptly one day and said, let me pray with you. I went to your site today. He said he kept his cool over the phone, but he was bloody furious. That why would his wife take the pastor to the building site? Anyway, I went to pray for the land. Don't worry, I will be keeping an eye on the progress of your project and all that stuff. And don't worry, it will be a success. Your house, blah, 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 blah. So eventually, he realized that the wife wasn't going to listen. So he gave up. He had sent front-loaded a lot more money and all that. Now, he said that oh yeah, Pastor got more than the $22,000, of course. Pastor Mama La Wuma in it. So he was getting updates. Now, the dude said, because he had the copy of the architectural design. So he said his suspicion started, even though he's not a building expert. He said his suspicion was raised at first when they had completed setting of the blocks for the foundation, right? And he looked at the pattern. When somebody goes back and takes a picture of the foundation. So he was looking at the pattern of the blocks and the partitioning of the rooms and all that, and he will compare visually with his architectural design. It looks like, no man, this looks totally different. And then there was a day, like, it was like, man, am I tripping? He got on the phone with the wife, like, yo, are you sure this is my project and all that? And he said it became a major argument. Oh, the wife was telling him that, oh, you can't, oh, you're not seeing it properly, and he didn't want to let the dudes that they were together in the States know that he was building back home. Now, the pastor would always get between that conversation and say, Aishe Suru, take it easy. Your wife is trying with the children. She's always on site. He saw pictures of his wife on the building site, the engineer guy, and he was arguing. And the guy was like, wait till the building goes up, because it's true. When you lay a foundation, even someone with no building experience, if you look at the lane of block and the pattern of the blocks that's been laid, if you look at your architectural design, can see the partitioning of all the rooms and living room and toilet and ensuite bathroom and toilet and all and whatnot. It should be exactly the same with the architectural, design. You can see it. So this guy said he kept looking at the video clips and said, yo, the layout that I'm looking at is totally different from my drawing. Did you change my drawing? The wife was adamant. At this time, he had front loaded about 22,000 US dollars to the wife. The wife said that I would see in the images, wife on site, bricklayers working, the so-called engineer guy, the pastor too would be there. And eventually he couldn't keep it to himself any longer after about 6 months. So he showed this to, remember the Igbo guy, the Igbo man that gave him information about the cargo business. So eventually it opened up. I understand, because most people, when they are working on their building project, it's a big thing for us. It's a big achievement. It's a big milestone in people's lives. People like to keep it to themselves and until they complete their projects, and then ta-da, they let the public know. So understandably so. But he was forced to share with this Igbo man and said, dude, am I tripping? Have a look at these. This is instantly, as the man looked at the images and his architectural design, the Igbo man told him that, dude, come on, man, this is not the layout of what you have in your architectural design. So only if maybe your wife changed the drawing. And he said no, that his wife insisted that the architectural design was not tampered with. So anyways, As the laying of blocks and German flooring and all that was done, the thing got pulled up. Eventually, he was able to get the Igbo man, right? To get the Igbo man, because the Igbo man has US citizenship. He travels back and forth. So he told the man, because the thing was so heavy on his mind, so he got the man to go to that site and that location. So surprise, surprise. It turns out that the location of this particular building that's being repeatedly sent to this man, where the project was going, is just adjacent to where his land. So when he how do I say this? When he bought the land at first, he said there was a sign that he had put there at first before they started the building project, because people normally would mark their lands to say this land belongs to Mr. such and such or Miss such and such. You put your name, or you do a corner piece, or some people even do coach of fence just to mark their territory and all that, to ward off unscrupulous people and things like that. So understandably so. Now, so the man said he spotted the signpost adjacent to where this project was and said, dude, here is a land just like meters across the road to the far right that has a sign with your name on it, that I think that's your land. So this man made a video recording, he filmed it and sent everything to him on WhatsApp. And that's where the cover got blown, that the wife took over 22,000 US dollars. So, of course, the Igbo man on ground helped him. They were able to tip off some people and within the family at first. And then his parents were aware, it became noise. Where is my money? Whose site is this? So the wife then confessed that, oh, the building project is just across the road. What? So where is the 22,000 US dollars that your husband sent to you? I gave it to the pastor. What? So it transpired that the pastor had convinced this woman that there was some kind of agricultural investment that would give her some huge return, and she can he convinced her that, oh, it's nice that your husband has this type of money, and if he's able to send you $22,000, you can imagine what he is sitting on in the United States. So basically, take advantage of this money. Oh, you're not stealing it from him. You can use this money to invest, sort of like double the money. You can take the return on that investment for yourself to build something similar, blah, 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 blah. She listened. But of course, family got into the whole thing. It transpired that the pastor had been repeatedly violating her sugar walls. Of course, for her to have gotten to the point to be so mentally repressed and to let go of her husband's sweat. So it turns out there was no agricultural investment. Pastor took the money, and then he tried to change the narrative that, oh, she sold that money into church as a seed. And the church, this so-called board of authorities and all that, they got involved. And that's what a lot of those people would do. And they were trying to discredit this woman that, oh, the pastor, there's no evidence that the pastor forced her to take $22,000. Oh, she said the Lord laid it on her heart to bless the church. And they were trying to claim that the money had gone into various projects in the church. So they got police involved, and of course, it's Nigeria, man. For the most part, once police have been compromised, their involvement more than likely will get watered down, except if you know people at the top of affairs who are your own people that can put the door off the hinges and stuff like that. But at the ground level, you'll try hard. So the church, they became really defensive. The pastor lied or claimed, said the woman said the Lord laid it on her heart and to invest, to bless the church and all that. And they claimed that the money had already gone into multiple projects. One of them being buying a brand new mechano generator for the church and doing other projects and all that. So the whole thing got really messy. And in the process of the back and forth and all the bad blood going on, it came out that the woman had been having an affair with the pastor. So he manipulated her in the process, took this man's hard-earned money and bailed with it. So that's where the guy is. The guy said he has fought. So, and this is what tends to happen. When you're fighting in Nigeria to get that type of money, you're going to spend money in the process, right? So the dude, he would have achieved fantastic progress in terms of recovering his money, but because he's in the West, he's still in the United States. He's not at the forefront of affairs on ground. So it makes it, Jessica Rogers, thank you. So it makes it really difficult. You understand? So the guy said to me, said, Phrankleen, I've started all over again. My heart is heavy. My life is in tatters. And his parents, family members are now saying he should let bygone be bygone, forget about it, move on. Some people are actually saying it's only 10 million naira. And that's very common in Nigeria. They will slap the same scripture in your face. He said he has spent nearly 3 million naira trying to recover 10 point, nearly 11 million naira. So you can see that's even further loss. So some people took money, some so-called lawyers took money, but because the major problem is because they know he's not on ground. Somebody knows somebody that connected him, and they will tell you that, hey, bro, we'll help you collect. Thank you, Caden. We'll help you recover the money. But there's a problem because they know he's not on ground. He's still vulnerable. They will still go ahead to take advantage of him, to fleece him, to bleed him dry. And the guy said, Phrankleen, my life is in tatters. Like my every day, I just query my human existence, and I don't even know where to start from. He said, I can't focus. I'm tired of life and all that. And of course, he's claimed that the marriage is over. Of course, 22K in somebody's salary in Canada. Bear in mind, Canadian dollars even lesser than US dollars. You see, what I want to bring out from this is some of the effects of the problem is multifaceted, is what I want to say, and also the effect of religiosity, what is done to a lot of our people, how it's destroyed people's minds. I've seen this firsthand. This is not hearsay. There are plenty of Africans, women, men, that so-called pastors, religious charlatans, right, can ask them to do X, Y, Z within their relationships, and they will listen and show a blatant disregard for the plight of their partners, all because my pastor said it's game over. This is why I talk about the lack of critical thinking. It's heightened evilness wickedness and criminality to even do that to anybody for a start. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's just absolutely dreadful. And I can sit here. I thought about this before I went live, particularly the religious people. Some of them will come on and say, oh, here we go. Phrankleen, because you practice Ifa, you're trying to bash the church. Religiosity has absolutely damaged Africa. Trust me. It's very possible for Black folks to have accumulation of qualifications. Oh, they have master's degree, they have PhD, some of the best minds academically, right? But when it comes to critical and logical reasoning, they are nothing to write home about. I'm telling you, it's jaw-dropping. I see this all the time. I've seen Nigerians, somebody is broke. You go to somebody to borrow money, right? Somebody borrows you 500,000 naira. Maybe you're trying to use it to run a business or do something. Somebody somewhere manipulates you mentally and asks you to drop a chunk of that money in form of a tithe. Did you hear what I said? You pay a tithe on a loan. Religion has absolutely destroyed the minds of a lot of Africans. You know, check this out. If you've been listening to this story, something as simple as husband and wife, whatever happened to confidentiality, keeping things between ourselves? Your husband is in the cold somewhere, busting his backside, working hard, considering putting you and the children into consideration. The man is breaking his back, living in that awful condition in the US. Amen. I want to start a building project so we can all live together in this house. Thank you for the super chat, global Zoom black man. All right. You take that data, that piece of information, you run to another man, a self-proclaimed religious person, and you drop it on their lap. Like, that's not bad enough. You then take them to the building site. They then take control of the building project, all against the wish of your husband. And then the man slides into your sugar wall, pounds you to dust so much, he blows your brains out of your skull, that your husband's 22,000 US dollars, you were able to transfer it to him because he scammed you by saying, oh yeah, you can put this in some bogus agricultural investment. Sorry, wait, why would somebody with a shred of decency, something that belongs to a project that your partner is working on, then teach you how to circumvent that process and say, oh, don't watch this person use their hard-earned resource for these particular projects. Let me teach you how to circumvent and destroy the trust that this person has in you. Let me teach you how to destroy your union with this person. And then what do? You put that money in their hand. And then they take, so basically the pastor took advantage of the woman's inbuilt greed. Do you see? Because if you're not greedy, if you're not sinister yourself, that wouldn't have happened. But of course, coupled with the fact that she was then having an affair with a pastor. So the whole emotional roller coaster and smashing the sugar walls and stuff pushed her over the edge. She gave him the money. And now The fraudulent misrepresentation was, oh, you of your own volition gave nearly 11 million naira to the church as a seed to bless the ministry at the detriment of a hard-working. This is one of the reasons why some people they tip over mentally and they may just end up jumping off the cliff. Somebody said Pastor Mandingo. This guy wrote me, plenty of grammatical errors. I can see that he was furiously typing all of this. You absolutely destroyed him. He spent additional 3 million naira hoping it would recover. The authorities took advantage of him. 3 million naira disappeared, the rest of the money gone. It's just sheer wickedness. So what I was saying is what religiosity has done. I honestly speaking, I worry about the future of us as Africans. When we're talking about, oh, oppressors, these other race of people that are oppressing us, and they're doing this to us as a continent, as a group of people. But man, I look at us as a unit of people. A bunch of our people are damaged mentally. Religion just takes all sensibilities out of the window and destroy people's minds totally. I'm telling you, man. It's the same. It's the same religiosity that tells us in Africa that, oh, I cast out in the name of such and such the spirit of poverty, and you would watch people go to so-called made-up bogus seminars, and they would say, Father, in the name of such and such and such, I cast out the spirit. What does that mean? Poverty is man-made. How do we obliterate poverty? How do we eliminate poverty? We eliminate poverty by creating structures in place that would help grow income, help grow our finance, that will hopefully generational wealth, that will alleviate poverty. They lie to you that poverty is some spirit that you need to shout and have saliva trapped in both corners of your mouth, have a funky breath, shouting in the face of the next man and screaming and grabbing the pillars and just screaming. Thank you, Dominic Griffin. And black women wonder why. Somebody said no audio. Right, if you can hear me, give me a thumb up. The audio is working, Samson. Maybe come out and go back in. Can you hear me? Just give me a thumb up if you can hear me. Thank you, Princess. All right. Thank you. Nigeria is an opportunist country designed to bring people success, downfall, they agree. Religion is just pure evil. It's just, religion is absolutely insane. It's destroyed the minds. I posted something a few days ago that we are wonderful and interesting people in Africa. Africa is a place where we would take a functioning factory, we will shut it down, we will sell the building, right? We will shut down a functioning factory, make people jobless. We wouldn't bother to create jobs. We will sell the building to religious institutions, and then jobless people go in there to pay for jobs. It's insane. Yeah, I like that. The issue with religion is that it uses belief to bypass logic. You can't argue with belief. That's the worst part of it. It's why you will see a black man that claims to be educated and smart. Somebody in Nigeria or in Africa would ask you to bring your passport to the altar, and they would say, take your German visa, take your US visa, take take your UK visa. In 21 days, they will call you from the US embassy to come and take your visa. Wait, what? Do you have a valid application? Have you met the requirements of the US embassy? Did they ask you to come for an appointment? Did you file for a particular US visa? How? Why will they call you? In 2022, you will find people with university degrees doing this. The British embassy will call you. How? Do you have an appointment with them? Do you have a pending application? Father, in the name of such and such, I heard this years ago here in the UK. This was years back. There was this pastor. He was saying people without papers, like, what do you call it? People, without papers that are living in the shadow of the system. He was saying, if you don't have papers, come to the front of the altar. And, people came out. That in itself, I felt was like, it's a breach of personal data. You shouldn't ask people living in the shadow of the system to come out to the front of the altar, because people can identify them and point them out. That's failing number one. And then he's asked them to stretch their hands, and he brought out this giant bottle of oil, and he sprinkled it and said, call the, hand on my heart, man, this is not a word of lie, call the UK Immigration Department. Demand, the Bible says, ask and it shall be given. Demand your permanent residency. Father, in the name, and people were yelling. It made no sense to me. I was just like, what? People were rolling on the floor, running from pillar to post, screaming, losing their wrappers, women, emotional acrobatics. Do you understand me? This is just a tiny insight into what's happened to the thought process of a lot of our people. Because you think other races don't see us. You think they don't. There's a reason I'm saying this. I worry about the future of the black race. There was one that somebody sent to me on Instagram. It's a church in Ghana where these pastors ask a bunch of women. Some of them are married, grown women. I don't know what happened, why. Maybe some of them, because they came to church late or something. He had a leather belt and he was flogging the hell out of them. And the congregation was packed and people sat there nodding their heads. People knelt down and they were being humiliated in broad daylight. They were talking about their service to church, that because they came late or they weren't pulling their weight in their respective department, they were flogging them with leather belts. This is crazy. Do you know what's laughable? For example, I'm talking hypothetically. If you saw that type of video and that was a white man flogging a bunch of black folks, right? I can imagine the uproar. Like, oh, slavery, oh my God, Racism, oh my God, oh my God, in 2022. Put that on the shelf for a moment. Look at what we do to ourselves, amongst ourselves. A lot of black folks are damaged because of religiosity. And you can call me whatever name. You can say whatever, I don't care. That's why a lot of you are spiritually naked. Most of these, I don't want to go there tonight. Most of these people, most of these top level religious leaders, they belong in fraternities controlled by the oppressors. They are gatekeepers. That's why they can get away with impunity. They are gatekeepers. They have to ensure that they keep flogging these dead and empty messages to keep the black race to the ground. They are gatekeepers. They belong in top level fraternities controlled by the oppressors. They are gatekeepers. Do you understand me? Is there a legislation in place? No, it's not. Somebody said don't trust something on social media. It's not a skit. It's not a skit. You don't have an idea. Some of you Nigerians know this. There are churches in Nigeria. It's very, very common where some man who's put themselves on a pedestal, right? You see a married woman who can't even bend her knees for her own husband at home will get on her two knees, almost getting on all fours in front of a so-called religious charlatan in the church environment. You see grown-ass men lying face flat in front of fellow human beings, calling them daddy and mommy. Oh, you think, oh, you think your oppressors don't have a blueprint on your behavioral pattern? They have a blueprint on the psychological damage and the behavioral pattern of the black man. When I say black man, I mean black men and women. The inferiority complex. A lot of us are so damaged, it's unbelievable. And think about it, they raise children with the same template. So let me tell you this very quickly, a very short story. So last year, I was in Nigeria, when I was away for like 3 months, and I was managing a building project for a diasporan. And there was this man, somebody gave me his phone number. He had to come and dig a borehole on the building site. So before digging the borehole, they have to first of all do a scan to see where they can find water and all that. So the long and short was, I met him, right? We had a chat, and I told him exactly what my requirements were. We talked about the price for digging the borehole on the building site, and the work was ongoing. So the long and short was, he brought some people, some two young men that work for him. So he didn't have to bend down in the sun. They brought the equipment, they did all the scanning. And he said to me that within 48 hours, he would generate the reports, and then he would give me, basically the report will show you exactly the right spot on the land where the borehole will be dug. And I said, okay, fantastic. So my guy speaking the truth as usual, man. You need a bigger audience to hear this message. Thank you, Darius, man. So after about 4 days, I didn't get the report. So I called someone who works for him, and I said, oh, hey, man, where is Mr. Such and Such? I've been trying to ring him. So can you tell him that I'm yet to receive the report? That was all that I said. It wasn't said in a rude way or in a disrespectful manner. Nope. It was just, hey, man, would you be kind enough to tell Mr. Such and Such? Perhaps it's an oversight, and I know he's busy. So he then alluded to the fact that, oh, he's a, do you know, he's a pastor, he's our daddy, and all that. So I paused. So I said, right, he's your pastor, right? Okay, that's That's good to know. No, so he was trying to let me say, oh, and yeah. He said, but he's a big man of God, and I said, bro. So I lost it. I said, bro, what's that got to do with the price of bread? I paid him for a service. He's meant to provide the borehole report for me. He promised 48 hours, and it's nearly 5 days. What's the? He said, yeah, because you're saying, oh, Mister Such and Such. I said, wait, he's such and such, not his name. He said, oh yeah. He said, but we would normally is we wouldn't say Mister. I said, bro, if I call him Mister Such by his surname, is that not his name? He said, yes. He said, but is the daddy, bro. That's where I lost it. I said, who's dad? I know where my father is. So Buruni, Daddy Tani. And this guy went quiet over the phone and said, bro, he said, are you not a Nigerian? And I'm like, dude, what the hell? Like, what is wrong with you people, man? Who's daddy? I know where my father is. Daddy Tani. I said, bro, this is business. Now, as I was saying, he then put the phone down, right? He just hung up. So I tried the man's number, and then he picked up. And I said, Mr. Such and Such. He said, hello, I wasn't born yesterday. He's older than me, but not that much. And me, I live by a few philosophies. I have nothing but love and respect for you. Until you prove otherwise, you behave like a bastard, right? Now, I said, how are you, sir? I said, I've just spoken to such and such, and he couldn't give me a definitive information about your whereabouts. So I put it that way, okay? I didn't go into details. I said, you're about 3 days late regarding my report. Can I have it now? And you forward it to me on WhatsApp. And guess what? He said, I've been looking at you. You're a very confident young man. Do you know I'm the head of a big auditorium? Borehole business is something I also have as a business on the side. And perhaps you had the privilege of meeting me in person, so you might think I'm just a regular. In a typical Phrankleen format, hand on my heart, no word of lie, I just cut him short. I said, with all due respect, I don't know you past the fact that I gave you a job to do. I paid you in full. I need the documents. I don't care about the church you control, the denomination you belong in, and all that nonsense. And I told him, I said, by the way, I am not a religious person. I don't belong in church, and I'm not a Muslim. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. And it was like, so what do you practice then? I said, I practice Ifa, African spirituality. I said, with all due respect, I need my report. She was just like, is that kind of expression local that we sort of, bring out locally? If you're Nigerian, you know what I'm saying. You were just like, or gal. Like it's like an expression of disdain and shock mixed together, right? So he was trying to carry on with the nonsense. I just cut the phone, man. I was seething with anger. And then within 20 minutes, he sends me the PDF on WhatsApp, and I just blocked his number after that. That's the end. I'm giving you this background story. In the classic template of existence in Nigeria, I can assure you, even some of them are watching right now, I'll be regarded as arrogant towards this self-proclaimed religious charlatan. Because why? I didn't bend over and roll myself in the sand and call him daddy, father, yes sir, oh yes sir, oh daddy sir, until I have broken myself into tiny bits and lick his shoes or have his balls hanging over my head. I have not disseminated respect. I have to reduce my person. Because why? This person calls himself a man of God. And that's why you can see somebody old enough to be your mother in the middle of an airport get on her two knees to greet a so-called man of God. Will she do the same to her husband at home? No. So sorry, what exactly does that do for you? Our daddy Gio, our mommy. Who's mommy? If I call you Mr. Adeshino, how is that disrespectful? Or if I call you by your first name, good morning, Mr. Tayo. How is that disrespectful? What's that got to do with anything? But black folks would rather, they will put their energy into this. Oh, some of them become really vindictive. That if they believe, especially if you exist within the confines of those institutions, they will get out of their way to sabotage you and make life unbearable for you because you're refusing to play ball. Some of these people that have these sort of distorted mindsets are some of our people that eventually find themselves traveling to other parts of the world. That's why there is the cultural shock. You're working with your white counterpart, your white colleague in the office, and it's like, oh, hey, Franklin, well, once you're done, can you switch off the printer, please? Sorry, sir. Okay, sir. Sorry, sir. Wait, what? The guy's name is John. Oh, okay, John. All right. Have a nice weekend. I'll see you Monday. All right. Thank you. I'll definitely switch it off. Do have a nice weekend. Bye bye now. No. Oh, hey, John. You didn't turn off the tap. Oh, sorry. That's an oversight. I've done that for you. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Oh, sorry, sir. You actually see some of these black folks bending their head over to their white counterparts. It's called inferiority complex, coupled with totally damaged mindset. And the grooming starts from Africa. That's exactly my point. The grooming, there's a bunch of black folks. Some of you are watching me, and I'm going to say it. You have inferiority complex deeply rooted into your DNAs. It's crazy. Thank you, Isla. Black on black, you square up to yourselves. You all right? Oh, a black person to a black person, they'll square up to you like, yo, man, what's up? As soon as it could be a toothless white person comes into the room, they squirm. They now suddenly that same black person who was really loud will suddenly have limited vocabulary when it comes to their white counterparts. They can't express themselves. In fact, they will start tap dancing. Yeah, it's the same thing with Will Smith and Chris Rock. You best believe that, man. Will Smith, not in a million years, he wouldn't dare to slap a white man on the stage. He wouldn't dare. He wouldn't even name one black person in America, here in the UK or in other parts of the West, that's got the balls to do that openly. He wouldn't dare. Only if, say, the white person attacked them and they've done, like they pose a threat to them, and then in self-defense, you're trying to push them off. Do you understand? And that's the case for a lot. Somebody like me, who is a non-conformist, if I, even amongst us, there are self-appointed black folks that they want you to lower your voice. They want to reduce the volume of your voice. They think you're overly confident. In fact, they will be the one to tell their masters that, oh yeah, he's very arrogant. He's too, yeah. They will be the ones to try to tear you down and like, dude, don't upset the master. So in the wider context of things, like I say, I worry about the future, man. I'm looking at the story I've told you tonight, which is a story of a woman who has done this. The slave mentality that finds its root within religious sectors. A lot of these religious charlatans, they would never tell you that the little $5,000 you've managed to save, $5,000 is not little. They would never tell you that, hey man, here are a couple of business ideas on how you can turn the 5 to 10,000, how your $10,000 can become 15, how your 15 can become 20. But they will give you a template of deductions and how they will absolutely fleece you of the $5,000. They will tell you that you will be blessed immensely if you give that money to their God. I keep telling people, man, we are the only race that we have no allies. We have these religious suppressions, psychologically damaged multi-millions of Africans who are also ensuring that the same template of nonsense are forced down the lungs of their children. Here's a story of a woman who couldn't see the vision of a good man who is struggling abroad, who was intending to build a home that she would live in with the two wonderful children that they both brought into existence. She was too busy thinking selfishly. They were too busy orchestrating ways of occupying a sugar walls by another man's genitalia. She conspired. He took advantage of her desperation and greed and of course, ultimately foolishness. He lined his own pocket, absolutely destroyed an innocent man. And then in the same community or society, they would try to calm you down by making scriptural references. Basically, you've been damaged. They bring you more damage to try to fix your damage. They will preach more damage to you to fix the damage. Layers and layers of damage is to ensure mental entrapment. That's my story tonight, man. O ye black man, O ye black woman, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. And lastly, something was ringing on my mind. Is it a crime to trust a partner that you love? Is it a crime? It's not unusual that partners, would somebody's abroad and you speak to your wife or your husband, hey man, let me send you money, go and do this. You know? It takes me back on the closing point, which is why compatibility checks is absolutely crucial. Like people that you're going to spend lifetime with. It's absolutely important. It's absolutely important. And this is not gender specific. Do you understand me? Compatibility checks. I've said this before. Some people, the worst mistakes that people made, the greatest mistake that you made was because of amalgamating your energy with the wrong person. You're never coming back from the damage. I digress. In the past few days, because I talk about, the Ifa divination, and I've had so many people, bought into it, sent me what they want me to help them do checks. It's enabled me to have a bit of a snippet into what people are dealing with. I've read, because all the divinations, I have to take them to the Ifa priest, right? I read people's stories. Erubami, Nkoti awon don't boom, I'll be sure. It's jaw dropping. Just give you a quick snippet. There was a story of a woman, has a solid IT background, 43-year-old, has been here for about 24 years or something. Everything she touches in terms of personal goals never take off. She's lost immeasurable amount of money and everything. Her husband, on the other hand, not so smart as her, not even as read as this woman. She has 2 master's degrees. She's done everything. The husband, he's built homes in Nigeria. Everything he touches, he's enjoying success. So it gets to a point in your life. She said, Phrankleen, I'm just tired. Like there's something wrong. Like I can't start something and successfully finish it. If I try to achieve the smallest of goals, there is a truckload of setback. And the divination brought back from within the husband's family, they had unscrupulously tapped into the energy of this woman, Ori Ogoe. Do you have any evidence that Ifa works? I don't have to provide you with any evidence. You can go out and go and find the evidence, can't they? Okay? Ifa works for me. I'm not obligated to provide you with any evidence. And you're also not obligated to accept anything that I'm saying. Okay? When people start using the term, do you have evidence? Okay? Don't listen to me or look at me through the lens of your colonial mindset. I'm not here to tap dance or to impress you or to give you a truckload of evidence. Okay? Take your free will and go away. Not down alone. And it turns out that from the bloodline of the husband, they had unscrupulously done something to this woman. So he's used Ori, he's used her as a springboard. So now, it will break the cycle. Phrankleen, you should do a video with questions. What's that? Okay, you mean like have a session where people can ask questions? I'm telling you, man, that's just a snippet. This is why I keep banging on about compatibility checks. There's a guy that we did divination, and he's contemplating on bringing he's talking to 2 women back in Nigeria, like sort of dating. And there's a particular one that he's interested in, he wants to bring. And that was one of the divination. I don't even have to give the background to the Ifa priest. And they said, if you bring this particular person, it's the beginning of your end. Everything you've worked for, and on top of that, there'll be a situation that will happen within the next 5 years. You will get trapped in prison. She will run you to the ground. She's coming here with the intention of tearing you down because she belongs, in the clouds, if you understand what I mean by that. But walking Kosori, there's no way for you to physically know. And guess what? He prefers this particular woman. The other one is your match, Antonia Nyone. And the other lady, the reason he's not really considering her that much, he thinks she hasn't got much of educational qualifications. Well, she went to secondary school, and then I think she went to, she's got these, what do you call HND? Is it high national diploma? She's only got HND, and she does tailoring job. She sews clothing for men and women. So he feels he's an academic snob. He thinks she's not that learned in that regard. You see, I would rather marry a woman that sells pepper and okra that my Ori matches with, and I have peace of mind, and we can build an empire together, than go after someone that I think is visually acceptable or in terms of accumulation of such and such, and they should be all right. And then your life goes that way. Do you get the point? People have done that. Oh, this guy, he's the son of the current state governor. and then you jump on it because you want to have an elaborate marriage. You want everybody to see that you've married the son of a governor. You're forgetting the fact that that person's father is not going to be a governor forever. You're forgetting that fact that the shiny things that you're attracted to today might not remain forever. People do that. Am I saying it's a bad thing to be attracted to, someone who enjoys a degree of comfortability? Definitely not. Just make sure that the person you're getting with to spend the rest of your life is the right energy. The moment tó bá ti ṣìfẹ́, the moment you pick the wrong person, you're done. You cannot cheat the universe. You cannot fight the energies controlling the universe. Láyé. Thank you, Falcon Black, man. Appreciate you, brother. This is my very... Taiwo Yelade, I'll have a look after the show, okay? I've been seeing your comments. I'm not ignoring you. I'll have a look, okay? I'm telling you, man. The mistake some people have made, I keep saying it, is just getting with the wrong person. Okay, think about it. As you spend years growing with your partner, there will be a lot of things, personal goals, joint goals, trying to raise children together. You have plans, so many things that we want to do in life. Just imagine all these brilliant things that you've got in your head with the wrong person. You get it? A lot of folks, man, they have picked partners just on wrong basis. Even, okay, let me give you another snippet. I've got to go in a minute. There is somebody, one of my favorite, I read all these divinations when people send them to me and all that. I read them. They're snippets of people's lives. Now, there's a guy. He's in Nigeria. Yeah? He has a bit of money saved. And somebody said it's the Ifa divination guaranteed. There's nothing like guaranteed. Ifa gives you a true outcome, okay, of occurrences, of everything that's connected to your being, your Ori. So if it's a compatibility check, it just tells you the truth. If I let you, there's no gimmicks in it. Believe me. Now check this. As I was saying, the gentleman is in Nigeria. He has a bit of money saved and all that. He's contemplating on relocating to the US. He has Canada on the papers. And he also has, I think, the UK. So he's asking Ifa. He has a growing business. And Ifa says, Nigeria is where... He said, Nigeria is where your glory is. If you travel to the States to go and live there permanently, or Canada or the UK, you will come back home empty-handed. However long you stay there, Nigeria is where your glory is. Your Ori aligns with Nigeria. Regardless of what we might see, most might see as the daily challenges. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So if I was that guy and I jump on the plane with plenty of other people, bye-bye Nigeria, I'm going to the US. You cannot beat the universe. Never. There will be occurrences, there will be energies that will work against you, that will beat you to the ground. That's right. This guy replied me when I gave him the outcome of his divination. He said, Phrankleen, said, I can imagine how my mom would react. Or they will call a family meeting and shout at me like I'm crazy because they want me to travel out. You see? It's about your life. It's not about their choices. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So, If you want to find out more, send me an email to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. Look in the video description, you find my email address, man. That's me done. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for listening. Thank you for lending me your eardrums. And please send me your stories, man. If you have stories, any interesting topics you'd like me to give consideration to, I'll make you anonymous, all right? Why doesn't Ifa say UK or US is where someone's glory? Why should it say that? Kehinde, I blocked you, man. You want to be a bit unfortunate tonight. Go and sleep. So what happened to the woman now? Ah, well, the man has dumped her. The man has dumped her, and yeah, you know, he's just said he's moved on. He's dumped her. His children are with his parents now. I think he took the children from her. So I don't know where she is, but of course she's moved on. But thank you very much. Thank you for the super chat. It's been a pleasure. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. Send me a story to foodchannel1960@gmail.com. And I'll most definitely follow me on Instagram at Phrankleen, as it's spelled on this channel. And I'll catch you in the very next one. Peace.